Hello and welcome back to our 2024 SEC Media Day special coverage. I'm Jevin McCoskey. Now, one of the most interesting teams heading into this year's college football season is the Ole-Miss-Rebels, led by head coach Lane Kiffin. With one of the best offenses in the country last year, the question now is what needs to be done to take the next step for the Rebels. Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin is one of the best offensive minds in all of college football. Last season, the Rebels averaged just over 35 points per game and won 11 games for the first time in program history. Now, heading into Kiffin's fifth season as head coach, Ole Miss is bringing in the #1 transfer portal class in the entire country. During SEC Media Days, Kiffin spoke about what he is most excited for when looking at the roster he has heading into this season.
All areas, I don't sound coach speak, but I really am excited about all areas because either we have players we're familiar with coming back that have done really well, or we've added players in those areas that have performed well at other places. So that's an exciting thing to have. Every year you don't have that. And so it's exciting to have that type of roster.
Kiffin would go on to say that just because they have the #1 transfer portal class, it does not mean the work is already done. And that is important to manage expectations when no games have yet been played, but did mention that they will at the very least, quote, look the part when they step off the bus when competing against the top schools in the SEC. And when looking at the upcoming transfer portal class for the Rebels, it is absolutely stacked, not just because there are 24 new players making their way to Oxford, but because of the level of talent being welcomed to the Rebels team. While the transfer portal saw top running back Quinshon Judkins leave the program for Ohio State, Ole Miss has done so well in bringing in the talent that they have earned the #1 transfer portal class, according to 24/7 Sports. 1 5-star and 7 4-star transfers, including 5-star defensive lineman Walter Nolan, who transferred from Texas A&M. While in Dallas, all 3 Rebel players in attendance were asked to give their thoughts on the roster as it stands today and what the expectations are for the team moving forward.
I think it's super valuable. Obviously, Lane is a huge believer and a huge user of the transfer portal. That's how I ended up in Ole Miss. But that mixed with the returning knowledge and experience that we've returned, I think it'll make a real difference this year.
Yeah, everybody talks about our portal class, but I think the biggest strength of our team is the guys that we retained. And when you're able to do that and keep guys from leaving, it just builds a strong culture, and it just really creates an environment of growth. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it, and I think for sure the guys that we retain are going to take huge leaps into the season.
My expectations for this year is to go out and dominate each and every game. And for team expectations is for us to get better each and every single day. That's one thing that you have to do whenever you have a lot of new guys and a lot of new transfers coming in. You have to teach them how we're going to run things at Ole Miss, how things are going to progress, and how things are supposed to be run with the program.
Now, we have already touched on how multiple coaches spoke about Jeff Lebby, who is entering his first year as a head coach, but many spoke on Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin as well, and that he is able to do with all of the teams that he has ever had. For many years, Lane Kiffin has been regarded as one of the best minds in all of college football, like I mentioned earlier, from his time at USC to the years spent with Nick Saban at Alabama, and now as a head coach at Ole Miss. Everyone knows when you play a Lane Kiffin-led offense, there is a high chance for a high-scoring game, and nobody knows that better than LSU head coach Brian Kelly, who last year lost to Ole Miss last season in a shootout that saw a final score of 55-49.
Well, I've gone against Lane, multiple times, as you know, whether it's, SC or Mississippi, and have great respect for, what he has done as a head coach. Now, the offenses have been really, outstanding at both stops. And so it puts a lot of pressure on your defense. And